greetings, and welcome to yet another Girl Who Don't You Know. Yeah, it's me, Marilyn Green, the hostess, with the mostest, okay? And I'm so happy you're here to join me. This is my first chatting it up this year, 2025. So, and of course, I want you guys to like, subscribe, do all those things that you're supposed to do, okay? Well, I am not going to keep talking about me and what I would like for you to do. I want to introduce my guest. And this guest is so important to me. I'm going to tell you the reason why. And I ain't told her this either, is that relationships, okay? All kind of relationships. And it's so important to understand how to navigate around relationships. It's so important to know where you play, okay? Everybody ain't wrong, okay? Sometimes it's you. So we always have to look at that reflection. So I'm that person that I'm going to look at the reflection of what did I do wrong or what did I do right? Okay. So her name is Kerika Fields, and she is the author of the book we're going to discuss, but we also got another book that she got out right now that I want everybody to go and purchase as well. So this is the book that really messed me up. He's gone, you're back. Oh my God. When I saw that title, okay, it was like, you do come back to what you're supposed to be in the first place. And everybody has taken you and realigned you, massaged you, manipulated you, did all type of stuff, right? And it's like, okay, so when I saw that book, he's going your back the right way to get over Mr. Wrong. I said, I have got to get this lady. This lady is the author and she's a relationship expert. She's also what I got here, a Renaissance woman, because not only does she do that, she's a photographer. She's just all that, and I'm just loving on her. And so, without further ado, I'm going to say, welcome, Miss Kerika Fields. Hey, girl. Hey,
Thank you
how
so
are
much
you?
for having me.
Of
And
course,
Happy
of
New Year,
course.
actually.
Happy New
2025.
Year. When I think about Happy New Year, I think whenever you get a revelation, it's a Happy New
That's
Year.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
It's a Happy New Year. So we'll jump right into it. So here's a question. Okay. How did you get? I've read part of the book.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
But how did you get to this part to say, I got to write a book on this? What happened?
Well, first of all, I want to say that thank you for enjoying the book. The book is also 15 years old. And the anniversary edition is coming out. I don't know when, but you can check my website this year, definitely. But I was
Okay.
a freelance writer and photographer in the 90s. I had a small child, a daughter, and I did an article for Belle magazine. I don't know if y'all remember Belle magazine. And it was
Mm-mm.
for the full figured black woman. And I
Oh.
did an article like right after I broke up with my daughter's father. She was 2 at the time, and I was
Mm-hmm.
27. So I was much more young and scared. uh, and so I did an article for Belle magazine, and it got a lot of response. I was invited to be on some radio programs to talk about relationships from the article. And then I realized, hey, this is a book here, because everybody goes through love challenges in their life. And everybody has to have a relationship with themselves before they can have a relationship with somebody else. So I did the book. I got a publisher, Kensington Publishers, and they published a book, and it got a great response because kind of like, Toni Morrison said, if there's a book you want to read and nobody has it, you have to write it yourself. I'm paraphrasing. And at the time, again, when I was going through this breakup, I was young. I was a young mother, so I was
Mm-hmm.
frightened. And I was looking for books, and there were books out there that definitely gave me great advice, and but there was nothing that really dealt with, like kind of holistic ways of taking care of yourself, the importance of, bathing yourself and really loving on yourself. And so that was the book I tried to create. In the book, I have like a self-love checklist
You
where
do?
it's just a reminder, I put it on my refrigerator. And of course, we love ourselves every day, but sometimes you have to do the action, And so
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, well, what did I do to love myself today? Obviously I took my vitamins, I brushed my teeth, I drank some water. But then at the end of the day, I'd be like, you know what? I could do something else. I can do a facial. I can soak my feet. I can say some prayers. I can write in my journal. Just, so it's a conscious effort to constantly love yourself. It's not easy.
And I love this, and let's talk about that. Even though it's been 15 years, it is timeless.
Yes.
For those who don't have the book, you can wait on the new one, but you need this one right now. Okay. You need both. You're going to be needing both,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it is timeless. So it spoke to me. And I didn't know her or the book 15 years ago,
Right.
and but it did speak to me. She speaks of something that is so valid when you're in a relationship, is that the point of no return. When do you know that you're there? Now, you talk about a lady in there, she doesn't use names, but she used situations. Okay. I can't recall a name. If she is, if
I
she
didn't use
did.
her name. She knows
Okay.
who she is.
Okay.
Good friend.
Anyway, she talked about basically this person had been in a not so good relationship. I'll just say it like that. Right. But through all that, it's only one word that made her get to the point of no return. Right. So what I'm saying, Kerika, how do you
It's
know
Kerika.
that you're at your no? Kerika,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
I'm gonna get it right at the end of the
It's
show.
okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Kerika.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna get it right.
Okay.
How do you know that you're at that point of no return? What made you go there?
Well, in my situation with my daughter's father, we were very young, and things were just not working out. And I realized that there has to come to a point where we have to go our separate ways for the benefit of my child. But I really think women, when the point of no return is. It's different for everybody else. You know what I mean? Somebody can, be called the same word 10 times a day and it doesn't bother them. Or, the husband could come home late and it doesn't bother them. It's different for everybody else. And every woman, every person. So I don't really want to generalize, but when you're like, this is it. I've tried, I've worked, we tried to work on a relationship. I've forgiven, you forgiven, whatever the situation was. But when when it's like, I'm done. I'm done.
I'm
I'm
done.
done.
I like that. I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this no more, And of course, when you're done, they're always going to try to pull you back to say you're not done,
Well,
right?
that's just their ego.
So,
They didn't want you anyway, that way they was treating you.
wow, I like that. They didn't want you anyway. Is that what you're
I
saying?
mean, if
After,
you're in a
but I mean,
relationship
but
and you're both working on it and the person is not, hearing you, and then you break up and then they come back, you know,
it's still the same.
I mean, why, you had the chance. You had your chance to show and
Yeah.
prove. So a lot of times I think when somebody tries to get back in a bad relationship, a woman or a man, it's really the ego or, relationships represent a lot. I've been married since this book came out and it has not been easy. And, we're facing some challenges. But at the same time, I realize that it kind of takes two to tango a little bit. So, once it's over, we've been working on it forever. So what are you going to keep doing? Beating a dead horse, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So what part do you think the childhood experiences plays in relationships?
I think they play very much in relationships like this. In the introduction of this book, I do mention, that my father and my mother had a tumultuous relationship, and that affected me in the sense that, I know that once a man hits you, he'll hit you again, you know?
Hmm.
And again, that's not to judge anybody's decision in that certain situation, but that's what I learned from my parents, and toxicity in relationship is never healthy. I also realized I kind of attract toxic men because they remind me of my father, but those are things that I have. But also, again, my father was a beautiful man. He raised 5 children. We all went to college. Rest in
Hmm.
peace. He was from Hard
Hmm.
Time, Mississippi, as he would say. So I think we make him very, very proud. But he did have some substance abuse issues. Him and my mother are divorced after 16 years and 5 children. So that's definitely a relationship that plays a role in my current and past relationships, definitely. And I think everybody
So
does. And it's their responsibility to kind of look at it. You know what I mean?
yeah, so how does a person, I mean, you can look at it, people say I ain't gonna marry no alcoholic and marry one. I ain't gonna go with an alcoholic and I mean, so I'm thinking you gotta look at yourself. Is it
Definitely.
what's the big part of you could tell the audience about looking introspectively about yourself before you once you get out of a relationship, before you go into a relationship and all that? What should we do?
I mean, first of all, any relationship, you're taking a chance. You're taking a chance on love. There's no
Ooh,
guarantees. But I think that before anybody gets into any serious relationship, you have to really ask yourself, what is it that you want? And if you're gonna marry alcoholic, you're gonna say, can I deal with it? You have to just be honest with yourself, because even if you marry the person that checks all the boxes, that's perfect, that doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is going to work. You know what I mean? Sometimes just not might not be compatible, or bad timing, or whatever. But definitely ask yourself some hard questions and be honest with yourself. You don't even have to tell everybody else the answers to the questions, as long as you know what you're walking into and what you're carrying, what you're carrying. And then you hope for the best.
yeah, I know. And you're right. I love that part about it. It is a chance. It's a chance that some people say, forget it. I don't want to deal with this. I'm just scared. I'm just scared. I can't do this. I cannot do this. Okay. Or when they get in there, they just all of a sudden just cut it. I can't do this. I can see,
Mhm.
So I understand that.
Mhm.
It's a chance. And I love that part. It's a chance. A chance on
You're taking
love.
a
How about
chance.
that?
You're taking a chance. There's no guarantees, you know.
It's no guarantees at all. I mean, I've been married twice, and oh yeah, okay. I tell people I'm a two-time loser, but a big-time winner. I got it now. Okay, I, I got it now, meaning that maybe I don't need to do this.
Would you
Okay,
ever be married again? Would you ever get married again?
I love that. I love that. Kerika, I got it right. Okay, uh, no, this is the first hearing it first. You hearing it first. No, I will not. Okay. And it comes from I did some self-reflection yesterday,
Wow.
and I'm like, I don't think I'm designed to be that.
Mhm.
And I think about some of the things biblically. Some people are not designed for that. Some
Mhm.
people were designed to just be with God and God alone. I'm just sorry. I'm just saying because I mean, what's your point on that then? Tell me about
Listen,
that
first
one.
of all, you're a mature, beautiful woman. You've had two marriages. You have children. What, unless what would be the point? For companionship, maybe, you know? But
Yeah, and I want a male perspective, but I can get a male good friend. I just don't want the dumb stuff, if that
well,
makes
the
sense.
thing, I'm glad you're saying that, because people, and people don't realize that only people that really want to be married are people that are not married. Because once you're married, you really realize the challenges it takes, the compromise it takes, to stay married, to like nurture a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
think people over romanticize marriage. They think it's like going to be the wedding through the whole, relationship. And it
Yep,
comes with
yep.
ups. It comes with ups and downs and challenges, because people are so individual, and people have their own baggage and issues to deal with. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Don't
Yep.
don't
I'm
only
just
fools
not.
rush in. Don't rush into it. But it's a good
Yeah, yeah.
experience to
Only
have.
fools rush in where
Yeah,
angels dare to go.
yeah. I think it's a
Okay.
good life experience to have. It's like, I had my daughter. I had the one daughter. I didn't have to do it again. I get it. Okay. Ooh, out. So yeah, that's kind of the way I feel about marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad you asked me that question because I was just talking to my son last night. I'm like, I don't know about this. Okay, I don't. You know what I'm saying? You're right. I'm mature. I'm this. I'm that, or whatever. But I just don't want to have to. I'm wrong to think about it. All right. I got so many other things going on. So many balls up in the air. I just don't have time for foolishness. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
keeps me like,
And
no,
that's what I'm
nope.
talking about, asking yourself some questions. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thank you for
Hmm.
answering that, but somebody else can ask
Yeah.
you, Do you want to get married again? You could go, I don't know, but you already asked yourself the question. You don't have to explain it to everybody. You don't have to explain it to your date. You know what I mean? You're just like, maybe. If
Right,
that's how you're
right.
like, never. Yeah.
Never.
Because
And
you
you
have
know
your
the
own
thing
answer. You have your truth.
I do.
Mhm.
I do have my own. It's like I thought about it before. You know, they how they say three times is a charm. I'm like, I'm not willing to be charmed. I mean, I don't want that
Charm wears
charm or
off,
something.
doesn't it?
It's like, I don't want to do that because let me just say it out there to the audience. Relationships are hard, regardless of whether it's a romantic, intimate relationship or relationship you have with your siblings or whatever. It's still a relationship,
Mhm.
and that stuff is hard. You know, because they don't act the way you think they're supposed to act, and that's another thing, Karika, that that you have to really get a sense in your head of your response or how you're going to respond to that person not responding the way you think that they should respond. Your expectations of that person needs to be really, really checked,
Yeah.
you know, because they not gonna be like you think they supposed to be.
You
So
can't control people.
what do you do about that?
You can't control people and you can't change people. And once you know that, you can navigate accordingly,
Yeah,
and I'm learning that also in my marriage. You can't change people. They are who they are. Not enough charm, not enough Karika's charm is going to change you. It may, enhance you if you know what I mean, but it's not going to change a person. And you can't control a
yeah,
person's actions. And I like or take it personally because they don't want to, change for you. They have to change or attempt to change for themselves. So yeah.
that's it.
Mhm.
That's it. I
Mhm.
mean, they got to say this relationship is worth it. She's worth it.
Or not.
All this is
Or
worth
not.
it. Or not. That
Right.
I'm going to go for the or not. No, this ain't. I mean, so I'm a or not person quicker than I was. My first marriage was 17 years. My second was 12. You know,
Wow. Mhm.
I mean, 9. I'm sorry, but that's been 12 years ago.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
or not.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
I become a quicker or nada, if that
Right.
makes sense. Oh no, no,
Right.
just ain't doing it. Okay, because I got more years behind me than I got in front of me,
And you have
according to
more
the law.
boundaries too. You
Yeah,
learned your
let's talk
boundaries.
about that.
You learned your
Let's talk
boundaries.
about
Yeah.
boundaries. Let's talk about your boundaries. How do you get them and how do you keep them?
Well, boundaries, to me, boundaries are the ultimate act of self love. It's like, self love
Okay.
is going to get a massage and getting your hair done and, drinking your green juice. But self love is saying, you know what? No. You know what? No. Like Michelle Obama, honey, I love you, but I'm not going to the inauguration because I love myself enough to not be aggravated and stressed out. So boundaries to me are the ultimate act of self love. And again, everybody's boundaries are personal. You know what I mean? Um, and you know what they are, and you definitely need to let your spouse or partner, know what your boundaries are, and when they cross them, then they're crossed, and then there's no going
Mm-hmm.
backwards.
Mm-hmm. So if a person is you didn't already said your boundaries, you done already drew your line in the sand and all that, but they just keep going over. Do you reevaluate your boundaries? How do you handle that?
No, I mean, I don't want to say walk away from the relationship, but if somebody is constantly going on, and things happen, people make mistakes, forgive me, oops. But if someone is constantly going over your boundaries, especially since they have been clearly expressed, then that's a form of disrespect, and that's a showing that they don't love you or care. You know what I mean? Because a boundary is not asking a person to change. You know what I'm saying? A boundary is
No,
asking a
it's
person to
not.
respect you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So again, that's a personal choice. But if somebody keeps crossing your boundaries, I mean, what do you think you should do? Keep getting your boundaries crossed or not?
I love that. I love that. Yes or no,
I mean,
not
sometimes it just
or
is what
not.
it is. Sometimes it is what it is, unfortunately,
It is what it
Mhm.
is. You know, that's a serious term. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's go into this and then we're gonna move and go into with your bad self in just a minute. So we talked about all the danger zones per se, but what are some green lights in a relationship when you first meet that person and you may go on the first a date or whatever? I say it's me. I think you need to have an application. Okay. An application in your mind, and don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
I'm just talking that
I
because I
like
don't do
that
good.
idea though.
I don't do good. I almost want to give a Google form to the person to fill out. Time we sit down, they said, "What type of you want to drink?" I said, "Some water." He say, "Some water." Get a Google form. Whatever questions come back,
Ooh, that sounds real
that will
sexy.
determine.
That sounds real sexy. But it makes sense though.
Whatever questions come back will determine whether or not I'm going to continue right now,
Yeah.
because it's like it's time out for all this playing. So what are some of the green lights that you think that when you sit down and talk to a person like on the first day, what do you need to do?
Well,
Just
for me,
like three
you know,
pointers or
for
something.
me, I mean, actually, a Google sheet is kind of going on the Instagram a little bit. Like if somebody's like all macho with their shirt off, I'm like, man, no. But but for me, I like to meet people authentically. I have done my share of online dating, but most of my relationships have been authentically somebody that I met somewhere, through somebody else. I like their vibe. I like the way they smell, and I'm not talking about their cologne. Their endorphins. Is that the word?
That
I
sounds
do.
right.
Yeah, I do watch stuff like how they
Or maybe they're hormones,
pheromones,
hormones or something.
pheromones. Um,
Hormones. Okay.
I do look at stuff like how they treat the waiter or waitress, how they tip. Now, if they rude to the waiter, that's bad. And if they flirting with the waitress, that's bad too. You know what I mean? Like, duh.
Do I need to leave? That's what
Well,
you might
well, I'm gonna
say.
finish my meal and my cocktail, but I won't be coming back. Especially on the first day, like you're not even trying to hide who you are if you do something like that. So little things like that, and to be cliche, a man who loves his mother. I need a man who is God fearing. You know what I mean? I could
Mm-hmm.
never date a man who doesn't believe in God. I can't relate to that. Again, no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But those are things that I kind of look for in uh, as green flags. Somebody who
Yes.
is successful in their own right. I'm not necessarily talking about rich, but obviously they can take care of themselves and a
Mm-hmm.
partner successfully. They don't have to be a multimillionaire, but they have had to have accomplished some things that they set out for themselves, because that just makes a confident person in the world. That you know what I mean. That does have nothing to do with you, but has to do with the way they feel about themselves, the way they carry themselves. So those are the type of things I kind of think
Yes.
are green lights. Somebody with a sense of humor is a green light. Somebody makes you laugh.
That's a big one.
Somebody that makes you feel good. Somebody, has manners and open the door for you. Somebody who's complimentary. You're
Oh
so
wow, you
beautiful,
got
Marilyn.
them.
I love your skin. um,
I love it.
I'm
Okay, so I said that was the last question, but this is the last question on this one. Who should give the phone number out? Should people, if I go somewhere, they say, "Did you give your phone number out?" Okay. I said, and so one person said, "But he didn't ask me."
Yeah, but you know what?
Nowadays,
I feel you on that because that's kind of like the old school way, and I kind of am a product of that man should approach the woman like show me how much you really want me. You know what I mean? Swallow your ego,
right.
swallow your pride, and step to me like a man. But in this day and age of Me Too, I really think a lot of men are afraid, and they're like, even if you're giving them signals, they're like, are they giving me is she giving me signals? So I mean, I just think if you see something you like, if it's, I mean, I wouldn't be like, excuse me, sir, here's my phone number, just so a stranger. But if you meet someone at a function and you're having a nice conversation and you feel like a vibe, you say, I really would love to stay in touch. Here's my number. They don't gotta call you, and then they weren't interested. And if they call, then they're interested. Because if a man gives you his number, you're not going to, you'll take it and you won't call if you're not interested. And if you're interested, you call. So.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I love that part about afraid because I mean, I can't wait till your book comes out because some of the things we talking about right now, that needs to be really in there. I mean, I ain't trying to get in there, but I am trying to
No,
get in
I
there.
think
Okay,
they're all suggestions. Because
you know,
again,
because
yeah, no, this
it's some
again.
things.
Hmm?
I said some things need to be in there because it is a you don't know. You don't know what to do. You know, if I got the number from him, is he expecting me to call him? Or well, you know, it's that right there is the big one.
Well, or you can exchange numbers too. You know, you can exchange
Yeah, but
numbers.
he's waiting on you to call him. That's what so we can talk about this all day, but we won't. But I'm just saying he has in his head, okay, I'm gonna wait for her to comment. It may be because he's afraid of the Me Too and hashtag Me Too.
Well,
Now
if
I
he
don't
gives you
know.
wait, if he gives you his number and doesn't ask for yours, then he's waiting for you to call. You know
Right,
what I
but why
mean?
should I call?
You don't have
You
to.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the part right there, okay? That's what make me say no,
Yeah,
no,
but
no.
sometimes things like that just work out right. You know what I mean? Like
Organically.
organically,
Okay.
and and if it feels too strained, then it might not be worth it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Gotcha. All right then, Kerika. Okay, I'm gonna keep saying it like that. All right, let's move on because evidently this guest right here love to talk about relationships,
And I
and
love
I'm
to
kind
write.
of
I love
feeling
to
that
write also.
I was gonna go there. She liked to write. She liked relationships. She just liked this, and but she has this book. So let me just say this first. You can get this book on Amazon, but when I went to look for the book we're going to talk about, this book popped up. So when you go to Amazon, please follow her because she got some things on the horizon that's coming up, and you all need to be a part of it. Okay. So let's talk about this book. Show me that book, okay? I
Okay.
think it's called With Your
With your
Bad
bad
Self.
self. This is my current book. It came out in, what is it? I believe in 2023. And it's a novella. It's based on kind of kitchen table stories from my late grandmother. She grew up in Brooklyn during the Great Depression, and obviously it's fictionalized, but it's based on a love story set in Brooklyn during World War II, where love may conquer all, or maybe not. It's that kind of thing. But it's got a few good reviews. It was featured on NBC's Today Show as a hot
It
pick,
was?
and people seem to enjoy it. But He's Going Your Back was a nonfiction book, is a nonfiction book, and this is fiction. This was my trying my hand at fiction, creating characters and conversations, and it is about love, but it's about relationships again with yourself. It's just every life story, everything. We all have things in common, general, that are general. Like we all fall in love. We all have to find ourselves. We all get hurt. We all get disappointed. We all have to keep going forward with a broken heart. At some point in your life. So this is what this book is about. It's kind of fun because the characters are young and in love and all the optimistic part of love. And so I really think people will enjoy it. It's a great beach read because it's not very long. Again, it is a novella, which is a novella is really something that's under 160 pages. And so
Mhm.
it's a quick read, and I think people will enjoy it. I hope they will. I hope they will enjoy it.
You know what? I just love the cover.
It
The
is.
cover of that
It's
book. I love
nice.
it. You know, just to
You just
think
see
that,
people doing the jitterbug, back in Harlem.
yeah.
I could never dance like that. Woo!
But if we were back then, we would have done it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You would have,
yeah.
but that was the time when everybody had a small waist, okay? With no plus sizes, okay? So I mean, it was plus people, but with no plus sizes, that's all. Okay. But no, I'm excited about that, but I love the fact that you're true to let's talk about relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because and I love the part about I think NBC was it Hot Picks? I think they said something about does love really conquer it all or
Mm-hmm.
something like that,
Mm-hmm.
does love just conquer it all,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I love the title With Your Bad Self,
Yeah,
of course I
yeah.
got it wrong and I started thinking
No, because
about the fact that
just go
no,
ahead with your bad self in certain songs, and But my grandmother used to
yeah,
say, "Go ahead with your bad self." Obviously, it's a black saying. We all grew up with your bad self, But that's why I used the
Yeah.
title, because I thought people would be familiar with the title, with your bad self. And plus, it was something that my grandmother used to always say. Go ahead with your bad self. You know what I mean? Which it can mean
Yeah,
a whole
yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
different things depending on how she said. You know,
Yes, yes, yes. It can be good or
right,
bad. It can get you in trouble or it can make you be a hero.
right,
Okay? It can but that's called we got to know our language.
right,
Okay. So the name of my podcast is Girl Who Don't You Know.
right,
Everybody don't get it.
right,
Everybody don't get it. But
right.
anybody that gets it know that that means what? You know a lot of people.
That's
Girl
right.
Who Don't You Know.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
That's what it meant. And that's the name that God gave me, and
right.
that's the name I stuck
I
with.
love
You
it.
know, and
I love
I'm
it.
like, thank you. It's like, girl, who don't you know? And they say it all the time. I start saying to myself, girl, who don't you know?
That's a
So,
beautiful
but
thing.
nevertheless, it is all good. But hey, we're at the end. It's been about 30 minutes we've been talking. It's a good talk too. It was just so free and so flowing. So, is there anything you want to end with and
Well,
tell the audience
well, I would
about
love them.
relationships or whatever?
I would love them to follow me at withyourBadSelf.com, obviously, and on my Instagram at underscore your bad self. And I just want to encourage people that you can move forward with a broken heart. You know, relationships are a part of life. They are beautiful. You know, all my friendships, all the relationships I've had. This is a beautiful part of life, but they're painful. I've lost. You can't see. I have a picture overhead of a friend I lost from Howard. Sorry, and you know, I'm sad that I lost her, but our friendship was so beautiful. I can't even be mad about it. So you know, going forward, whoever is struggling with relationships, just know it's a part of life, and you know, we'll rest in peace, Angie Stone.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
listen to some Angie Stone. You'll be all right.
Okay. No, no, I told you what I told you when we talked. Just get on the bed and roll around back and forth, back and forth. That's what my mama said.
I'm gonna
My
try
mama
that
said,
one. I'm gonna try it.
roll, roll back and forth, and then you'll be okay.
Right,
Probably in about 3 days.
right,
Just roll, keep
right.
rolling, keep rolling. But thank you so much,
Thank you.
Kerika, for being on here. And I look forward to I'm gonna get that book and I look forward to He's Gone Your Back.
The anniversary
Okay. And I
edition.
love the Your Back. Yes. Okay. I love that. And maybe you can come back on and let's talk about what
Definitely,
goodies you
definitely.
got in there that's gonna really change. You know, some of the things I want, I might have to write you and say, "This is what I want in this book."
Please
Okay,
do.
so that people can really get back to
Mhm.
themselves, you know, because we know you get in things and it changes you. You don't even know you change until you stop and say, "I didn't never used to do that, and
Yeah.
why do I do that like that?"
Mhm.
So, but anyway, that's a whole nother topic. And so we're gonna invite her back, okay? Everybody out there and girl who don't you know land, okay? We're gonna invite her back when she get that other one. But in the meantime, please go to Amazon.com or you can go to her website, which I'm going to put it in when we stream this. You'll see all her information. You know, it is on Amazon.com with your bad self, and also He's Gone Your Back. Thanks so much. And next time, okay.
Mhm.
I got some other people coming. You need to just like,
I want to
subscribe,
know some
do
people
all that.
who you know. You know everybody. I want to know some people too.
Only way you gonna know who I know is that you need to subscribe, you need to like, you need to follow me, okay? Because I know some peoples, okay?
Good,
Some peoples.
good.
So, and I want to share them with you. Until next time, thank you so much and have a super, super great day.